In the heart of Baghdad, where the streets bustled with merchants, scholars, and storytellers, there lived a man named Abu Nuwas. He was known far and wide for his sharp wit and clever tongue, and his reputation as a master poet and trickster preceded him wherever he went. People admired him, feared him, and some even tried to challenge him, but Abu Nuwas always found a way to outsmart them. He was proud of his intelligence, confident that no one could match his cleverness. One day, as Abu Nuwas strolled through the busy market, he overheard a group of men talking about a little girl who lived on the edge of the city. The men spoke in hushed tones, saying that the girl was as wise as the oldest of scholars and that no one had been able to best her in a battle of wits. Abu Nuwas, intrigued and slightly amused, decided that he would be the one to outsmart this girl. After all, how could a mere child possibly rival his intelligence? The next morning, Abu Nuwas made his way to the small house where the girl lived. He found her sitting outside, weaving a basket with nimble fingers. She looked up as he approached, her eyes bright and curious. Abu Nuwas smiled, thinking to himself how easy this would be. "Good day, little one," he said, his voice smooth and confident. "I have heard tales of your wisdom and cleverness, and I thought I might test it for myself. Do you think you can outsmart me?" The girl looked at him for a moment, then smiled. "Perhaps," she said simply. "But wisdom isn't always about outsmarting others, is it?" Abu Nuwas chuckled, amused by her response. "We shall see," he said. "Let us begin with a riddle. If you can solve it, I will admit defeat. But if you cannot, you must agree that I am the wiser of us." The girl nodded, still smiling, and Abu Nuwas thought for a moment before presenting his riddle. "Tell me, little one, what is something that belongs to you, but others use more than you do?" The girl tilted her head, thinking for only a moment before replying, "That is easy. It is my name. It belongs to me, but others say it more often than I do." Abu Nuwas was taken aback. He had expected her to struggle with the answer, but she had solved it effortlessly. Determined not to be outdone, he quickly thought of another riddle, one that he believed would surely stump her. "Very well," he said, "but let's see if you can answer this one. What is something that has a heart but no other organs?" The girl frowned slightly, pondering the question. After a few moments, her face lit up, and she answered confidently, "A heart of stone, of course. Stones have no organs, yet some are said to have hearts." Abu Nuwas could feel a sense of frustration creeping in. He had never met someone, let alone a child, who could match him riddle for riddle. But he wasn't ready to admit defeat. He decided to switch tactics, thinking that a practical challenge might throw her off. "All right, a little one," he said, "how about a test of skill instead? If you can perform a task that I cannot, then I will concede that you are indeed wiser than I." The girl nodded again, unfazed by his challenge. She thought for a moment, then said, "Very well. I will draw water from the well without using a bucket, rope, or any other tool. Can you do that?" Abu Nuwas smirked. "Impossible," he said. "You cannot draw water without a bucket or rope. You're trying to trick me." The girl stood up and walked to the well nearby. She bent down, cupped her hands, and scooped up a small amount of water, holding it out for Abu Nuwas to see. "You see," she said with a grin, "I have drawn water without a bucket or rope. It may not be much, but it is water nonetheless." Abu Nuwas stared at her in disbelief. How could such a simple solution have escaped him? He had been so focused on outwitting her with clever riddles and challenges that he had overlooked the simplest answer of all. Realizing that he had been bested, Abu Nuwas laughed, a deep, hearty laugh that echoed through the quiet street. He bowed to the girl, a gesture of respect and admiration. "You have outwitted me, little one," he said. "And in doing so, you have taught me an important lesson. Wisdom is not about how clever or skilled we are, but about seeing the world with clear eyes and an open mind. You are truly wise beyond your years. The girl smiled and nodded, but said nothing more. She simply returned to her basket weaving, content in the knowledge that she had earned the respect of Abu Nuwas, the great poet and trickster. And so, Abu Nuwas walked away from the little house, humbled but wiser for the experience. He had learned that wisdom could come from unexpected places, and that even the most clever of minds could be taught a lesson by someone younger, simpler, and perhaps even wiser than they seemed. From that day on, whenever people spoke of Abu Nuwas, they would mention not only his wit and cleverness, but also the day he was outsmarted by a wise little girl in the streets of Baghdad. And Abu Nuwas, for all his pride, would always smile at the memory, for he knew that true wisdom was something far greater than outwitting others. It was about learning, growing, and being humble enough to recognize the wisdom in others.